All right, guys, we are in the zone. We are in the zone. Let's see if we can find support. We have been coming down pretty aggressively over the last several days, but on the smaller time frames, it still doesn't look quite there yet. Remember the last video I said it needs more. It doesn't look finished. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at still, but we definitely have some progress here. So still looking at this like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And even this wave here, you got 1, 2, 3. Looks like we're in a 4 here and probably should get maybe a 5. So probably a little bit more down to go, I would imagine. A little bit further down. We're going to get a bounce. It's not like we're just going to completely and if we do that, if we completely capitulate down to here or below here, it's then I would not look for a higher high. I would look for a retrace. But either way I'm looking for a retrace. Even in a bear market, you get retraces, right? So right here, we had a crash, a retrace, a crash, a retrace, a big crash, a big retrace, a crash, a retrace, right? And then the big crash. So you usually get that, right? So if this is a crash right here, if this is the beginning of a bear market, and this is the beginning of the bear market, then you should get a retrace. This retrace actually took the top here. So this retrace, maybe may or may not. We'll see. But then we would see a little continuation and then a big drop and then maybe a little bit more. And then we can start to ramp up, right? If it was going to be a full-on bear market. Remember, the altcoins are in bear markets. They've been in bear markets this entire time, right? So Bitcoin is the only one of the very few ones that is not. So like Zcash, bull market. Monero is not. Monero is still struggling to break its 8-year range, right? Now, if you look at basically all of the altcoins, this is the entire altcoin market, well, excluding the top 10, you could see, right? This is where our last cycle was, right? And then this was our bear market. And this is a continuation of the bear market because it's a retrace, right? So you had your crash and then you go up and you retrace. If this retrace breaks us out into all-time highs, then you can quantify it. Yeah, well, this was a whole bull run here. But if it's a retrace, and then we have to go down into reaccumulation, and then we have to go sideways and then break out, then this entire thing is one giant bear market from 21 all the way till whenever. So people are very confused. I see on X and things like, oh, this is the worst cycle ever. This is the worst. There's no cycle. There's no cycle. There's a Bitcoin cycle, but that's it, right? There's a retrace in certain altcoins, but that's it. So what's likely to happen here is if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we should get A, B, and C. But that means we're not even halfway there, unfortunately, for this chart here, right? Because if this is an A and this is a B, this little teeny tiny thing is a C? I don't think so. I don't think it's finished. So what we could do is just a real simple trick. Just take it from the top to the bottom. And then we're going to take this here. And there's your bottom right there. And then we're going to take that. And that's equal waves, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to take it all the way over here. And then I'm going to replace that with array. There we go. And then I'll get rid of that. There you go. So basically we're looking at, geez, that's another $100 billion roughly to the downside. So, and that makes sense, right? So this wave here could be an extension of this wave here. And if it is, it would be waves of equal length. Google that. Type in technical analysis, waves of equal length. What does it mean? You'll learn all about it. But not only that, you would also, in doing this, you would also come down here and you would backtest. You would backtest this range, right? You got support here, support, right? So you break out of the support, and then you have a three-way move back down to support. You backtest support, and then what we would look for? We would look for a retrace. Now that retrace could either break us out into new all-time highs, or it could bring us down into reaccumulation sideways, then all-time high, right? So those are the sort of the two options we have for the bulls, but which is still bearish, right? Now, if this is really, 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 really bearish, like end of the world bearish, then I mean, you know what I mean? So you got this massive potential three-way move here. It's very dangerous when you have a crash and a retrace, because that could turn into a massive C wave to the downside. How massive? Well, I mean, let's see here. If I put the fib on and we come here, I mean, it's not too bad. I would look at it like right here, and that would be the all-time high of the 2017 bull run. Think about that for a second. How low do we really have to go? I mean, we have all of this inflation. We would have to go back below the low of the previous bear market. If that happens, then it's going to prove everybody wrong that we were in some kind of cycle when we weren't, right? So the consensus is this is a cycle, this is a bear market. This is a cycle, this is a bear market. That's what people think. But if this was the end of the bear market, supposedly, then that means this wave cannot go below this wave. Why would a bear market go below the previous bear market low? It makes no sense at all, right? That's like as if you had a cycle, a bear market, a retrace, and then this retrace actually took us below there, which would mean this is all one bear market, right? So this is what this is. If this comes down here, then this whole thing is one giant bear market. And everybody was fooled to thinking we were in a cycle because Bitcoin is an all-time high. So we associate that with a broader cycle, which is not true. You need breadth to open up. You need a consensus to be alive and well for the broader market, not just Ethereum, not just XRP. I'm talking a lot of them, right? You got to have at least the top 20 roaring like a fire, right? And we just have not seen that, which could be a good thing and a bad thing. It could be a good thing because, well, we haven't seen it yet because it hasn't happened yet, which is a good thing, right? Which means we're due for it. We're expecting it to happen. So if you look at something like Ethereum, how could we expect that to happen? Well, you got 3 down, you got 3 up, you got 3 down, you got an impulse, and now you're coming all the way back, right? This is a big dump right here. You take this entire wave and you cut it in half. Well, look at that. That's exactly where we're at, right? And you could see there's support here, there's support there, you got a little bit there. So what are we expecting here? Well, I'm expecting this to bottom at some point in this level. Somewhere in this level, I'm expecting it to bottom, and I'm expecting it to go back up. Now, when we go back up, there's 2 things that could happen. One, we could break out and finally hit our target. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, do a parabola and hit our whatever extension. Maybe, hopefully, let's see here. If we pull a fib on here and we just take it down to there. Roughly speaking, we don't know where the low is going to be. But maybe, 2618, that sounds pretty good to me. 2618. But where is that in the broader sense of this whole range here? Let's see. If I take this here, yeah, it kind of matches up with the 2 there. Oh, is this on log scale? Maybe this is what's going on. Let me see. No, it's not. So, yeah, I would say, probably $7,000 to $8,000 should be the cycle top for Ethereum, but it can't be a cycle top until we're in an actual cycle. And maybe this is a cycle. Maybe this whole time we were in a bull cycle, but the reason why we haven't experienced it yet is because it just simply has not happened yet. Right? People, you say, well, how could it possibly happen now if Bitcoin's in a bear market? Well, that's because you get it during a Bitcoin retrace. Like, watch the last video. Basically, again, if Bitcoin's going to go, let's say this is Bitcoin here. If Bitcoin's crashing, okay, if Bitcoin's going into a retrace, just a simple retrace, that could be enough for Ethereum to go into a parabola. And if you don't believe me, look at the last time it happened with XRP and THETA and other coins where they did not move until Bitcoin was in a bear market, right? So again, 2 things could happen here. Number 1, for the bulls. Number 1, we go into a parabola, and then it's done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're done. Bear market. Fine. The second option is that this goes into a retrace, and then we come back down into a C wave. A, B, C. So A, B, C. Right? And then that leads us into a parabola or a 5-wave extension. A breakout. And maybe even higher than that. So those are the 2 options we have. Both of them say we should be almost finished here, and we should be looking for a retrace. So how much lower do we have to go? Well, for Ethereum, I would say like maybe 2,500, 2,600. Between 24 and 2,600, I would say would be probably a level. It could be even, it could be sooner than that. Let's zoom in further and see if there's anything going on here. Yeah, it just doesn't look quite there yet. You could say, oh, it's kind of wedging in here a little bit. Yeah, so from this peak, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks pretty good. You're inside of this falling wedge. Today is Wednesday. It's possible we could bottom today, maybe tomorrow, and then maybe by Friday we could get some kind of a bounce off of here, or even potentially next week. I don't think it's quite finished yet because you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like you're right there. It looks like you're really close. So, yeah. And then plus, look at this. You got all this support right here. You got to get a bounce. You gotta get a bounce. If you don't get a bounce and you slice right through it like nothing, then what that means is it's a liquidation. That's what that means. How do you know? You don't know. You really don't know. So yeah, you could see a little bit of bottlenecking, bam, 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 and then you get the drop in here, and then you finish the drop, and then you go into chances are we're probably not going to take the top. We're probably just going to get a retrace because of how deep this is, because of how violent it looks. It's potentially, and then another thing too, this could be a flat where we could come up here and take the top. It looks like it's going up. It takes the top, but then it cocks back and then it shoots up. And then it's like a flat right here. So we shall see. Okay, now for XRP. Now let's get down to real business here. So XRP looks like it's seen better days. Let's just be honest. This is the one I really don't. I like Ethereum better. I don't like XRP right here. I don't like this right here. I don't like the bottlenecking. See, you have two forms of it, right? You're coming down, you're going boom, 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 boom. You drop, you come back up, and now you're doing that ping pong ball, that what do they call it? Pinball machine behavior, where you're just bottlenecking. So that could lead to a drop. The good thing is we have a lot of support that hasn't quite been tested yet, which is right there. So if we look closely, which is sub $2, you could see right here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it looks like we should come down here and tag it here, which would be good, but we want a significant bounce off of those lows. We really, really don't want to fall below that. If we did, you're looking at like $1.78, somewhere right in here, which would still be a flat, right? It still is 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then maybe we get 5. And we bottom out here, and then we go for the retrace. So 2 things could happen with this. I think it should be the breakout, right? Remember, we still have the ETFs coming. You could say, well, one's already approved. Yeah, but that's just one. But if you start getting one after another, and you start, other things start to happen, right? So Trump yesterday was with the Prince of Saudi Arabia. He had all the big business minds. He had Tim Cook. He had the CEO of NVIDIA. He had Elon Musk. He had all the big top honchos in there. So I wonder what they talked about. Just curious. But anyways, look at this chart. I mean, this chart, you can't deny, is very bullish long term, right? Long term. So we've been building this base for 8 years. And now this is the longest we've ever been above $2. Let's just stretch this out here. And so, let's see how it plays out here. We're still above the retrace high, which is right here. And then you can put one more right there, and then one more right there. And then we're going to get rid of the other ones here. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So these are our levels right in here. That any one of these levels could be tested totally. By the way this is shaping out looks like it's not finished yet. It looks like I don't want to say it, but it looks like it's just kind of getting started, honestly. If we flip it upside down, it's even worse to me. It looks bad. So, you got this divergence in here. You swept the lows. You came up, you built a base. And now you're rocking. You're coming right back to resistance. If we have a 3-way pullback and we cock back here off support, and then we slam the low, that could be the end. That could be the end for a move then back to the upside, because then you would create the flat, right? You have an impulse to the downside, and then you have a 3-way flat. So 3-way move, continue down. So that's what I think. That's what I still believe. I still think XRP is fully capable of hitting $8 to $10. I just would like to see this wave end. Once this wave ends, wherever it's going to end, and it will end, trust me, it will end. And then once we get a bounce, how does the bounce look? Does it look corrective? Does it look like it's 3-waving? Does it look like we built a base down in here and we're impulsing, right? Those are the things we're going to eventually look for. But right now, we have to wait until this finishes, which it doesn't look finished. And I don't like the way it's shaped. I don't like that, and I don't like that at all. I don't like the way it looks. Because it looks like it's revving up. It's like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, massive dump. Massive retest, or a back test, and now we're going to continue down. So that could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we create the divergence down in here. We create, I don't know, it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. Because when we zoom in, I just don't like the way it looks, man. I don't like this right here. Like, what is that? You know? I mean, the only way we can quantify it is 1, 2, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have 1, 2, 3, probably 4, and then 5. And that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then we find a bottom down here, and then we start going up. And I like how it's the end of the year, Q4, because a lot of things happen during this time. Trend changes and things like that. And honestly, we've been in a trend change. Well, we've been ranging, but we've really been going down since when? Since July. So for the last 6 months, and then even more than that, we've been going down for the last year, right? We topped back here in January, right? That was a year ago. And then what happened? We've been crashing, and then a little bit of a retrace, and then a continuation of the crash or a correction, right? So if this is a 1 year 3-wave pullback, well, guess what? What was the last thing? What happened the last time we had a 1 year pullback? First of all, let's take everything off the screen, and you can see very clearly, right? Look at this, and this is really interesting. So you have a top right here. This was July, right? And then you had a 3A, B, C. You had a 3-way pullback. And it lasted exactly 1 year. What happened after we got a 3-way pullback that exactly lasted 1 year? We had an impulse, we had a 3-way pullback, and then we exploded off the low, right? So this is also 1 year from here to there would be 1 year. 1 year from here to there. So what we could do is just take a little fractal. It's not gonna be the same. It probably won't even be close. But I'm gonna take it from here up. And I just want to see, just from a timing perspective, you could see right where we are. I mean, we're a little bit past due, right? So I would probably more say something like this right here, where you kind of stretch it out a little bit. There we go, something like that. I mean, that makes sense, right? Notice how this low came, and then we came, and then we slammed the low. That's what I think is happening here, right? So you dropped. Okay, so look at this. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, look at this, guys. Ready? Ready? Okay, watch this. Blow your mind right now. Watch this. You have a little ascending triangle right there. You have a little ascending triangle right there. Boom. You have the big drop. You have the big drop, right? And then you cock back a little bit. Cock back a little bit. And then you come and you slam down and you crack the low. You slam down and you crack the low. And then you immediately pump to the upside above this high. So it'd be a big one. And then you have a 3-way pullback right here. And then you blast off, and then you blast off. Very, very possible. Don't think it can't happen. Right? Because look how it moves, right? Look how the waves move, right? You shoot up here, you have that first drop. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you roll over, you take the low. I bet there's bullish divergence on the smaller time frames. And actually, I was wrong. There actually is not bullish divergence. So that's kind of interesting. So it definitely was a fake out right here. I remember that time too. It was like, oh man, what's going on here? You know, because we didn't know if this was going to be like 5, 3, and then, 5, right? Or yeah, no, this was like 1, 2, 3, and then we still needed 4 and 5. That would have really sucked. But anyway, so that's kind of where we're at here. We're at $2.03. We're still coming down. Let's look at the small time frames here. Oh yeah, we're still moving down. So, with no end in sight. There's no end in sight yet. So, definitely pretty aggressive. This is pretty aggressive here. So let's see how it continues to play out. But remember, this is going to give us some big opportunities coming up. So we'll have to wait for that. So that's pretty much it. I want to see us get down a little bit lower here and see how we hold up in this level. So it could be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe. I'm still holding out hope that we can hold in here. We will find out. But if we don't, I'm still looking at it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then maybe we have to take the low here. Just like we did kind of back here. Take the low. Right? To get moving again. So same thing with kind of like Ethereum, like we just looked at. Dash. What the hell is going on with Dash? So yeah, Dash had a big spike. It's probably over for a while. At least, for example, Dash can go A, B, C. So you have a wave 1, you have an A, B, C. So that means you would have to come down for a long time in order to get going again. I haven't looked at Matic quite. So it kind of looks interesting. You kind of have, I used to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we should be finished in here. But if this is the 3-wave move here, then this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So it'd be 3 down, 3 up, 5 down. But yeah, everything is down today pretty massively. I mean, XRP is down 8% today. Jeez. Got obliterated. So for Bitcoin, yeah, I think we just talked about it, right? Didn't we just talk about Bitcoin? So Bitcoin, anyway, we had this like zone right here, and you can see that's kind of where we're at. So I want to see us hold it, I want to see us hold it. I want to see us hold in here, and I want to see us bounce back up. So let's see how that plays out. This is a big dump, right? And I would imagine that, if like, for example, Trump had anything to do with this dump, there's a positive reason why. We just don't know yet. Just like with the stock market, look how volatile it was in his first term. But the reason why I think he wanted it volatile is because the more volatility you get, these big dumps down, the bigger reactions you get off the low. Like COVID. Like, just think about COVID right here. Look how massive we went up after COVID, right? We had this little move here. Everyone thought, oh, we're ready to go. We're ready to go. And then massive, complete obliteration. And it doesn't look, you go, oh, that looks tiny. No. This thing was massive at the time. It was huge. This thing dropped massively. 63% in a matter of a week or so. And it was crazy. But look what happened, right? You had the liquidation. You had this big move to the downside, but then it allowed us to explode off the low. Same thing here. Anytime you have these big dumps, you get a big explosion off the low. Right? So same thing here. You have a big dump, you get a big move off the low. Now, this was in the middle of the bear market. That's 5 waves, bullish divergence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be finished. It could be finished. And if it is finished, then, like I was saying, when we were back up here, I was saying we need to come down a little bit more. The reason why I said that is because we want a bigger retrace. For example, if we stopped here and then we went up, it would only be a little tiny retrace. But if we had a bigger dump all the way down here, now we have a much bigger retrace that we could potentially see, right? So, and the reason that's important is because if Bitcoin gets a retrace, like if it comes down here and gets a retrace, let's say it goes up in 5 waves like this, and it's something like that. Well, that could be enough for something like XRP to kind of bottom out and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then boom, there's your $8 right there. And then it's done, right? So all you really need is one wave off the low. And we've been cocking back for a whole year. We had a 1 year, 3-wave pullback. So if this bear market is all of a sudden here, then that means we've been in a bear market for the last year. We've been in this son of a gun for a year, right? So I think once it finishes, we should get a significant reaction. Otherwise, if not, then we have 3 waves down. I would still expect 3 waves up, and then a complete obliteration, and then a depression, and then a recovery, and then a bull run, which would take years, unfortunately, but I think utility, and then there's just 2 things, right? Either one, the utility crypto age takes off, or number 2, Trump and the Fed clash, right? And they fight each other. And because we're transitioning, right? If Trump calls on a transition away from the Fed, it's going to put the markets in turmoil, right? So crypto could be, because crypto is unlike any other market in the world. Crypto never shuts off, right? It's decentralized, meaning you can trade on what they call a DEX, a decentralized exchange. You can't do that with stocks. So crypto kind of is harder to rig, and sometimes it's telling the story of what's really going on in the broader markets. So anyways, it's not fun. It's not fun. We don't like it. But look, you got to think about your future here. Think about yourself. Don't think let me explain something. If we dump here, which we're dumping, and you feel bad about it, your present self right now, yourself today, feels bad about it. That means your future self will feel extremely good about it. You know why? Because it allows, because it's my own experience, right? Back when we were in the bear market, it sucked, but I knew if I just kept adding to my position, if I knew if I just did that, and the next 10, 15, 20, it could be a long time, 20 years from now, I don't know, who knows how long it could take. If I just did that over time, over the cycle, over the bull run, bear market, bull run, bear market, bull run, bear market, bull run, over the cycles and cycles and cycles, eventually I will be so much better off. So if you have that type of psychology, you have to think that way, or you will not survive. Because people who panic, oh my God, I'm going to lose all my money. Oh my God, it's going to crash. I'm going to lose everything, all my money. Oh my God, no. You're not. You can't think about it like that, right? Either you have to get out of the market now and then re-enter later, or you got to ride this thing down a little bit, right? So it's a psychological game. And if you can't take it, then, it's just one of those things, right? So, last time we had a liquidation right here. Look at this. So we had this big liquidation, and then we had a retrace, and then a slam down, right? So you have a big liquidation. Maybe it's not quite finished. Maybe you get a retrace and then a slam down. You break the low and then you go. I think that's kind of what could potentially be playing out in here. So small time frames, again, I don't see anything here. It looks bearish. It looks like it's still dumping. You could see what I mean here. This is a classic example of bottlenecking. Look at this. Bottlenecking. Nobody talks about it, right? Where you're just kind of bam, 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 and then it can't, and it's accelerating, right? It's like when you throw a ball at, you have a wall here and you have a wall here, and you throw the ball and it goes boom, 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 and then it flies out of there, right? That's kind of what's happening. But what I also see here is 5 waves. I see 1, 2, 3. I see a flat here, and then I see 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, and then maybe 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we take out all of these lows. Well, yeah, we take out all of these lows. And then look at this. If you draw a trend line right here, we're approaching that trend line. So I would imagine a little bit of a bounce gets off of here. So, this is not the time to panic. And this is, anytime you get a move 11% down, look at Monero, 11% down. This is when you step up to the plate and add. But in this case, I probably wouldn't add because I don't think it's quite finished yet. And remember, look at what Monero did. It did exactly what we thought it would do, which is what? Well, there was 2 options. Either this was a back test and a continuation, or this was A, and then you have a B, right? You have 1, 2, 3 down, or is that 3 or 5? It looks challenging. I think it's 3. 1, 2, and then 3. And then you have 3 up. And look at this. You also have 3 down, 3 up, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So you also have 3, 3, 5, which is 3 waves down. But look what Monero's been doing this whole time. Look at this massive base it has here. Right? And then it breaks out, and then it backtests A, B, C. So it's this is bullish. This is a good thing, not a bad thing. So we want to establish a low here, somewhere, some support on top of this breakout level. Let's put a line here and then another one there. Yeah, so we want to build support in this level, and then we can expect a retrace. So Bitcoin looks like it needs to retrace. Ethereum looks like it needs to retrace. Monero looks like it needs to retrace, but not quite yet. Maybe a little bit more to go. So there you go. But others, this one looks bad. Like, I don't know. It just, even on the small time frames, you're bottlenecking in here. So this could be a drop coming. But again, on this chart, yeah, it just looks like it needs to come down and finish. That's all I have to say, really. It's kind of one of those things. And if you look at oh my God, now that I think about it, look at this. So look at this, guys. This is really interesting. This is Amazon. We looked at Amazon last week. But look at Amazon, guys. It took 10 years for Amazon to break out, but that's not what I wanted to show you, right? It took 10 years, right? We had a rise, a crash, a retrace, reaccumulation. You went sideways, and then you broke out. This whole thing took 10 years to manifest. But after that, after it broken out, look at this. It's just been rocking and rocking and rocking and rocking to the upside ever since. But anyways, what I wanted to really show you is this right here. You could kind of see a very interesting situation. So now there's a couple different ways you can look at it. The first way would be, obviously, here's your top, there's your bottom, right? And then we move up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or we could say 1, 2, 3, right? And then we have 4, we have 4, and then we have 5, and then we have 5. Perfect. Okay, so far so good. And then we have this 3-wave pullback, and that's what happened here, 3-wave pullback. But this, obviously, this 3-wave pullback is a lot more bullish than this thing. So there's that, right? Because you were bull flagging in here. You broke out, you had a 3-wave back test into the bull flag. This is not doing that at all. This looks more bearish. It looks like a head and shoulders here, right? Very bearish pattern. You have a head and shoulders. But what I wanted to say here is that you don't necessarily have to go into a full-fledged bear market to, or a continuation to break out and new all-time highs, right? We could simply just get a 3-wave pullback in here and then continue, right? So we had a crash, you move on up, you play around a little bit, but then you eventually get going. Maybe not. This is not financial advice. I could be wrong, right? But I kind of know all the options, right? Option number 1, super, super, super bearish, 3, 3, 5, go. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Super bad. Down here. That would be extremely bearish, but that would actually be the fastest road to all-time highs, I think. The other, well, no, not necessarily, because you have, the other option is you have 5, and then you have a 3-wave pullback, and then you go up in 5. Pretty simple, right? The other alternative is that this is a rise, crash, retrace. We're going to go down into reaccumulation, and then we go sideways, and then we build, and then break out later on. So those are the 3 options. One of those options will happen. I'm pretty sure of it. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure of it. I don't see other options, right? So anyways, what else is going on here? Filecoin, nothing really there. ICP. It's like the little kid joke, when you were growing up. They said, spell iCup. What? Spell iCup. ICUP. Ha ha ha, ICUP. And that's what it is, ICP. Oh, it's ICPU, not ICUP. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool. I see 5 waves here. I see a 3-wave move. I see a massive impulse. So I would expect A, B, C, and then a continuation. But if this just starts melting down, then I'm not so sure of that. What's Litecoin doing today? See, Litecoin's not doing too bad. It's not, it's decent, right? If we put up Bitcoin real quick, like look at the drop Bitcoin had right here versus Litecoin. It's just kind of been chilling, which is a good thing, right? We want to see that. Oh, by the way, what's going on with Bitcoin dominance? I don't think I saw that. I don't think I saw any Bitcoin dominance. Oh, okay. Here we go. Bitcoin dominance. I just wanted to see what's going on. Oh, so today, well, let's go to the daily. So you could see we've been actually going down, right? So Bitcoin, okay, let's put Bitcoin up again. So this move right here for Bitcoin is actually more of a dramatic move for Bitcoin than it is for the altcoins, which is a good thing, right? We want Bitcoin dominance to go down. We want the altcoins to be stronger than Bitcoin. But, it does look like it's cocking back a little bit. You do got a little 3-wave move here. So this could theoretically be boom, 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 right? You got 3 waves up, you got 3 waves down. Maybe you go up in 5, and that's a bigger 3, and that's where the alts finish, and then we go down. Otherwise, maybe this starts trending down. I don't think so. I think there's a good chance that we could come up here first before it does that. Otherwise, this is just going to keep pushing up, right? unfortunately. So, but that's, but that also is a good thing in a way, because then that means, well, if Bitcoin dominance is still going up, then that means we just haven't arrived yet. It's not like it passed and it's gone and we got to wait for the next train. It just means the train hasn't came yet. Right? And it does look a little bearish, right? You can kind of see a shoulder ahead, another shoulder. You're starting to get that look, right? So, it could be a good situation coming up. See, this just looks terrible. It just looks like, man, what is that? It could be, a W, an X, a Y, an X, and a Z. I never really thought about it like that. It looks so freaking massive. I just don't really know about that. But it's possible that this could be a wave 1 and then a wave 2. And then you have W, X, Y, X, Z. It's a triple combo correction. You build a base and then you go up. And that takes in its place reaccumulation, right? So you have rise, crash, and then retrace, or no, rise, crash, retrace, and then all of this is reaccumulation before we go up. Otherwise, this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, 1, 2, 3, B, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for C, which would be just completely devastating. But maybe necessary. I don't know, right? There's a lot of liquid. There's a lot of leverage in the market that could be flushed out potentially, right? But I move back to Litecoin, and I don't see any issues here, like I do with XRP kind of on the small time frame. Now, it depends, though, because you have this trend line here. If we break that trend line, usually upsloping channels break down. Let's just be honest. Upsloping channels break to the downside. The reason why I don't like it to break down is because we're impulsing up and we're correcting down, right? So I think Litecoin in particular, you have all of this resistance up here, but, you got 3 waves down, you got 3 waves up. And it looks like this could be 1, 2, 3, 4. We still need another wave down, 5 down. And this could be a flat, A, B, C. And then we build your base, and then we start our retrace. So that's exactly what I think is happening here. Ethereum, this could move down a little bit more. But ultimately, I would expect a retrace. So that's kind of that's kind of the story here. This is why, okay, I remember very clearly, I think. Yeah. It was Ethereum. That right here, when we were moving up, first of all, I need to build a line right there and put that right there. So when we were moving up, I thought we have to stop here because you have resistance. So I was thinking, okay, we're gonna get stuck here and we're gonna cock back for a 3-way pullback. That didn't happen. What happened was we actually broke out, and I think that was a bad thing. See, everyone was excited. Oh yeah, Ethereum broke out. Blah 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 blah. But I think I remember saying that we don't really want it to break out. We want it to flag out first before you break out, because look where Ethereum came from. It came from way down here. So by the time it got to the top of the resistance, it already exerted all of its energy. That's why we're seeing this big dump or a big correction. Versus if the price would have just came up and then started flagging out in here, right? That would have been better. It would have been more symmetrical. But what happened is it took the top. It was actually like a liquidity grab almost. If I flip it upside down, it might make a little bit more sense, right? You could see support. We broke the support. We had the liquidity grab. Now we're moving quickly. So, yeah, that's why we because it got cocky. It said, oh, I could do it, and it broke out, and it was too tired. So now it needs to come back down. So XLM, Same thing with XLM. Like it doesn't look, it's starting to look better. Remember, like I've been saying, it doesn't look finished. It doesn't look finished. Well, it's starting to look a little better, right? You got your little triangle. You got your first drop. What comes next? A little bit of a retrace, and then maybe a flush of the low, right? And then we have a solid move. We have a solid move, just like how we have a little triangle, a drop, retrace, or a little bounce, and then a flush. Same thing here, right? So we have an impulse, we have 3 down, we have 3 up, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, let's get 5. And then we have an ABC, and then we can bottom out, and then we could go to the moon. Don't you just want to go to the moon? Fly me to the moon. So yeah, and then you look at the larger time frames. I still think it's very bullish. You're cupping into the resistance. You're cupping into the resistance. You're impulsing up. You're correcting down, right? So this is all what you want to see. Did we look at ADA? Yeah, so ADA is okay. ADA looks almost there. It looks like it's almost there. Look. Let's use a zone here. It looks like it's almost there. It looks like it's about finished, I think. For its 3-wave move. Now, if this is, I don't like this 88 chart. Where's my other 88 chart? Here we go. This is the chart right here. And then we're going to make that bigger. And then let me just use this, borrow that line right there. There we go. And then we can clone it. There we go. So there's our zone there, right? So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. And then you have A, B, C. 2. And I don't know why everyone's freaking out. I think we're in the middle of a correction in here. It seems very bearish. It seems bad. But when you zoom out and you look at the wave structure, it totally makes sense, right? Because again, you have 5 waves. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you need a 3-wave pullback. And that 3-wave pullback is getting right here in a very, very key area. Right? You got this block here, you got this block here, and that's right where we're approaching. And then you also have 1, 2, 3, maybe we get 4, and then we flush the low for 5. And then we start going up into retrace. Otherwise, what we have here is extremely bearish. It's either extremely bearish or we're setting up for a retrace. Meaning, this could be 1, 2, and now we're going down for 3, and then we're going to go 4, and then 5. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, 1, 2, 3, B, and then we go down for C. And then what we have here is this massive thing is a wave 1, and this massive thing that took forever is a wave 2. And then we go up. But if we do that, I am not expecting a retrace. I'm expecting all-time highs, like seriously. All-time highs, right? So there's 2 options. 1, ABC, and then we go up, right? And then ABC, and then we retrace. And then from that retrace, we could break out into new all-time highs. We could, basically kind of consolidate, gearing up for all-time highs. Or if we retrace, this could be 3 down, 3 up, and then another 3 down. And it's a little bit more elongated, and then we go up. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we go all-time highs. This would actually probably be the best, honestly, because it would just completely annihilate the market, but it would be the fastest way the market could roar back. So that's kind of where we're at here. This is a wedge, an expanding, a broadening wedge, right? So, you know, it is yet to be determined yet. But what I can tell you though is that we've been dumping for quite some time. So I would imagine we need to find some support in here, and then get a bounce. Theta, I have no idea what's going on with Theta. Let's see what's going on with Theta here. Theta is down 7% around there. Like I said, I didn't think it was finished up here. Like I've been thinking here, we have this big wick. I've been thinking we need to test it at least 50%, which we're doing, which we're approaching, which is a good thing. Because the faster we could get it over with, the faster we could get on with it, right? So I'm looking at this range right in here for Theta. And I think it looks great. I don't see a problem with it. I just see, I see a painting. I see a beautiful painting that isn't finished, right? You have a beautiful artist painting a beautiful picture, and they're halfway done, and you look at it and you go, oh, it's ugly, it's terrible. Well, no, it's not finished yet, right? So, again, super beautiful base, massive. Remember, this is a 50,000% move, guys. So a 50,000% move requires major pain. All right, and then you have an A, and then you have a B, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and it looks like we're getting 5. We're almost there, 5, and there's your C. So you got to hold on to a little bit of hope. You know, you got to hold on to some hope. Hold the lows in here, and then we should get that retrace. That's exactly what I think is going to play out. It could take a long time, though. This is the 8-day chart, for crying out loud. So, you know, let's see if I could go a little bit lower here. Nope, too low. Let's go to the 4-day chart. Yeah, okay, the 4-day works, but I'm looking at this, and I don't see it finished yet. I think it needs to, like, do this, and then it's finished, you know? So I don't think it's finished yet. So, yeah, that's basically how it is. So what you could do, kind of, sort of, you know, and let's see where this came to. You could see that it hit this 2618, but you could see down here, there's a lot of targets down in here, right? And that's kind of where we're at right here. But yeah, I think I got a little bit more to go. So Theta Fuel or XDC. Let me look at this one real quick. Same with XDC. You know, you got the bottlenecking in here. You got that little bit of a wave right there. It looks like it needs to come and finish. But you got that 3-wave shape. So you have an impulse. You correct to the downside. You correct, right? It's not like we're impulsing to the downside. We're correcting in a 3-wave form. Theta Fuel's the only one that's green today. That's funny. I bought some Theta Fuel the other day, you know, just because I like the way it looks. I'm not buying Theta right now, honestly. I haven't bought Theta in a little while. But I did buy Theta Fuel just because I like the wave structure a little better on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, we could still come down lower. You know, when I buy something, I don't have to buy the exact bottom. I could buy it 2 weeks later. It could go below where I bought it, but I'm okay with that because that's part of the bigger strategy. You're not trying to time everything. You're trying to get an average price entry, right? They call it an average price entry. Other than that, I don't think anything else. Let's look at Dogecoin since it's a top 10 coin. Yeah, same with Doge. You know, it looks like it needs to come down and finish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B. Let's get the C. Proportional. You know, it's all about proportionality. And then we can get our retrace. So anyways, tune back next time. We're going to look at gold and silver and we'll talk about that, and then we'll see where we're at. We'll probably talk about the dollar. Here's a big problem, guys, is the dollar. You know what I mean? So anyways, I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.